Yo, we are back for a short video. I'm gonna try to make this all one video, so it'll probably be a day or two. I got a new project, I would say. It's basically a returning customer. The second swap I've done for somebody was an S10, and I don't really call him a customer anymore because he's helped me out quite a bit. So more of a friend than a customer, but he brought me some more work to do. We're doing a cam swap in this 5.3. It's going in a 64, 65 C10. I'm not 100% sure. It's not going to be like the other swaps I've posted because he's basically doing half of the work. He's basically just bringing me a cab on the frame with the fuel system already plumbed. And I'm just setting the engine transmission in, hooking up the wiring, and hooking up the fuel, computer, and getting it running. So that's as much as I know that I'm doing right now. I'm not 100% sure if he's added some things, but it's going to be a good minute until he gets that to me because he's got everything off the frame, painting the frame, doing the suspension, blah, blah, blah. But I obviously already tore it down. I wasn't even thinking about it I wasn't even thinking about making a video when I got this because I've already made a video of swapping a cam into an LS. So I just decided last minute, at least, make a video of putting the cam and putting it back together. This is all the stuff that came out, obviously. Reusing the chain, gear, push rods, because there's nothing wrong with any of that. I mean, you could, if you felt like it, like I did the other cam swap, just replace it, but there's nothing wrong with it, so no need to. Reusing the lifter trays. Not reusing the lifters because I had to pry these out with pliers because they did not want to come out. So it's probably good that we're putting a different set of heads on it. These are $7.99 heads, which are the same as your 243. The only difference is they have sodium-filled valves. Other than that, they're the same exact casting as a 243. They flow the same. Everything's the same. And these are the heads that came off. They don't look too good. You can tell. It doesn't look like maintenance was really a thing for whoever owned the vehicle that this engine came out of. Oh, we're reusing the rockers too. I don't feel like turning this over right now, so I'm gonna try and show you guys the cylinder walls. Ouch. This one was easily the worst one. When I pulled it apart, it was full of stuff and had water cooling in it that had sat over time and rusted. All I did was take some WD-40 in a rag and just sprayed it down and wiped it out. And there's nothing in there. It's not pitted, it's not scratched, it's nice and smooth. There might be a little bit of debris left, but once you get it running, those piston rings will clean it up. Just give it a good couple 7,000 RPM revs and she'll be good to go. I'm not a big expert on bottom ends. I know that these can have some side-to-side play. You just don't want up and down play, and I've checked all of them, and they don't have any of that. The oil pan had a little bit of oil left in it, but the oil filter was full, and no metal shavings came out of that, so that should be good. The biggest thing when you get these used engines that you don't plan on completely rebuilding, when you pull the cam, just don't look at the cam bearings. So I looked, the owner looked. We decided that it was best to just say we didn't look. So we didn't see what we saw, but we saw what we didn't see. if you see what I'm saying. But it's getting truck intake, drive-by cable. It's getting the truck accessories. Cleaned up the front cover a little bit. I'm gonna clean it up a little more because he wants this complete. He wants everything painted. He wants this to be super nice. So we're gonna paint valve covers, front cover, crank pulley. Transmission is all pretty. And we got the gaskets. Let me show you the cam we're going with. It's a sloppy stage 2 cam. I don't think there's any markings, but sloppy stage 2 is one of the most common cams. You'll see people putting 5.3s and 4.8s. Jeez, you know, okay, let's go. Come on. It's 85 degrees out here, and my Great Pyrenees is not a fan of it. And then in 2 days, it'll be 50 again. So, welcome to Texas. Anyways, sloppy stage 2 cam has a 575 lift. It's pretty choppy. It's a really good cam if you want chop and you still want to be able to drive the vehicle frequently. You got lifters, we got gaskets. This is the eBay. This is like a eBay gasket set. I've used a couple of these gasket sets, but I've never used the head gaskets. And after that 69 Camaro, if you guys remember, I had to pull the transmission off and replace the rear main seal because it was a brand new rebuilt engine and it had cheap gaskets on the back. These are like the same exact flimsy gaskets, or I say gasket. That's the front cover. This is the rear cover that I took off of that rebuilt engine that was leaking. So I personally would probably recommend not using these. I would get a Felpro gasket, or O'Reilly's has the gasket with the plate with the new rear main seal already installed. Comes with bolts, cover gasket, rear main seal, brand new plate. That was $55 through my business account from O'Reilly's. We're gonna attempt those head bolts. It's not gonna be making 1,000 horsepower, so I don't see what the issue would be with those head bolts. We'll use that oil pan gasket. That should be fine. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, here we got lift. He got these valve springs. Little much for the cam because the cam's only a 575 lift, and these are, well, I guess they don't say it, but these are rated up to 625 lift. You can get the Pack 12 springs that are rated at 600 lift. So you don't necessarily need the ones with the 625 lift like we got here, but it's not gonna hurt if you do get these. What else? I got engine, cam, parts. That's it. I'm pretty sure that's it for now until I just start throwing stuff in. I put this on the. I know I didn't throw it away. I better not have thrown it away. I had the cam lube. Oh, don't you do this to me. I know I didn't throw it away. It spilled in my cabinet. I've had it since the last cam swap on that OBS that I did last summer. Did I? Oh, okay. I was about to say. This is the stuff I use to put on the cam before I throw it in. I mean, it probably wouldn't hurt to throw it on the lifters, wherever they are. Where are the lifters? I'd say these are the lifters with the way the box looks. Yes, these are the lifters he got. Oh, he did get trays, so we'll be using these trays. What else we got in here? I haven't even looked. Map sensor. Oh, retainer plate. Always make sure you get a new retainer plate when you're changing the cam. That is this plate right here. This is the oil pump. I strongly recommend you put in any used LS engine. You get, this is just a factory pressure, if you want to call it that, factory or standard pressure oil pump, melting oil pump. That one's from Amazon. That's a cheap, legit melting. I have it in the CUDA. Great oil pressure. Been daily driving that car for a year. March next month, actually. We put it in his S10 that I did the swap in. I put it in that OBS that I cam swapped. I put it in, I think I put it in another one of the swaps. I don't remember, but that is the one I would get, and it was pretty cheap compared on Amazon compared to other websites. It's gonna get an LS1 water pump just so it looks a little better, looks a little cleaner. What else? Oh, with the LS1 water pump, you have to get spacers. So let me show you on the CUDA. Come on. Come. Hold on. So, see, no, you can't see it right there. So, look. So that right there is a spacer. It spaces out the water pump for the truck pulley. You can get an LS3 water pump pulley. Water pump, and that is spaced for basically any of the cranks. So you can use it on a truck, an LS3 water pump on a truck engine, and not have to use the spacers. I liked the LS1 water pump with the spacers because it comes with, you can't see it because of lighting. Okay, there you go. You see that fitting going into the hole? I have that running to the coolant crossover right here. So I like that because then you don't have to worry about running it somewhere to the radiator or splicing the water hose, the upper radiator hose with that ICT fitting I actually used on his S10 in another one of the swaps. And then say your water pump goes out while you're driving, you don't have it tapped, because a lot of guys, they'll tap the top of the water pump for that. Well, if you don't, your water pump goes out and you're somewhere and you don't have your drill and tap set, you don't have anything to run the coolant crossover to. So I like that because change the water pump, spacers are there, just put your coolant crossover right back on. So that is it. Let's get to putting the cam in. I don't have two gloves. I had two. I lost one. But I do have a Ziploc baggie, so we can use it as stuff. And hope that I don't get too much of this on me. But just up this way. Lather it on up. Try not to get it on you. And also, I'll probably put this on the lifters before I throw them in. They're hydraulic roller lifters, so technically you don't have to soak them in oil. They'll be fine. Just like the camshaft, you don't have to break in the engine like you would an old school engine with a flat tappet. Get it everywhere. Oh. Nice. Lubed up. Stick it in. Need to grab some water pump bolts. I got it on me. Dang. Come on. Couldn't find any water pump bolts. These are oil pan bolts, I think. No, I don't know. They fit. Basically put those in before you put the cam in, so you don't have to stop at this point. So we got the cam gear on, retainer plate. Oh my goodness. Next is putting the gear back on, but you have to make sure you have this dot right there and that dot right there. And they have to line up evenly, because if you're off, if the dot is this way and that dot is that way, then however many teeth there are in between the dots, that's how many teeth your timing is going to be off. So we got to spin this around so that the dot is straight up and down, and then put this on straight up and down, and then put the chain on, and then put the oil pump on, and then you're about halfway done with the cam swap. So I got lined up, bolted on, tightened. I don't know if I said it because I'm trying to make a TikTok video for this too at the same time, but I do not torque the cam retainer plate bolts. I don't torque these bolts. I don't torque the oil pump bolts. I don't torque water pump bolts. I don't torque front cover bolts. I don't torque rear cover bolts. I don't torque oil pan bolts. The OBS cam swap I did, I actually attempted to torque the cam retainer plate bolts, and I broke the bottom one off in the hole, and that was fun getting that out. So after that, I was like, I'm not torquing these ever again. These are, I mean, the other bolts, they're strong to an extent, but obviously I found out they can break. If I hadn't been able to get that bolt out of there, it would have been SOL. So I don't torque any of these. The front cover, the oil pan, and the rear cover, I never torqued before. Even that, I don't torque the valley cover bolt. I don't torque any of the bolts other than head bolts. Those are the only bolts I torque. So if somebody tells you have to torque them, no, you don't, because that OBS running perfectly fine. Nothing's fallen off. I've never had issues with not torquing the front cover bolts, the rear cover, or the oil pan. Even the oil pump bolts on that, no issues. So that is completely dealer's choice if you want to torque all that stuff and take the chance of breaking the bolts off. So yeah, you do you. All right, front cover is on. Obviously, you just saw me do that. We're going to install the crank pulley. I don't think you'll be able to see it. I'll try to put the link down at the bottom. This is just what's used to install the crank pulley. It was like 20 bucks on Amazon. I've used it a couple times now. I always get some WD-40 PP Blaster, whatever you use, and spray it down just so that it doesn't really just burn any threads or do any cross threading, which you can still do if you don't screw it in correctly first, but that's just what I do. Golly. Not that much. Same with the crank pulley bolt. I don't torque this either. Never had an issue. You can if you want to. Dealer's choice. Okay, so we're back. Obviously it's about split second for you, a couple days for me. I've been sitting here recording all this off and on, but apparently I have too much video space or taking up space in my phone. So I'm sitting here recording this for y'all as I do it, and my phone keeps cutting off because I have a certain time limit for recording given the space. So I'm basically finished putting the heads on, but I'm going to go through and show you guys the torque sequence that I use, which I think next time I'm going to do a little differently, based off of another YouTube video I saw. But anyways, you got your inside bolts, where this one and this one are your shorter bolts. These and these are all the longer ones. The torque sequence is 22 foot-pounds your first go around of all these. Don't worry about these top ones yet. Video I used on the OBS I cam swapped, since you have to do these in degree, the second pass and the third pass in 90-degree intervals. If you don't have a torque wrench with a degree indicator, you mark it, take the Sharpie and mark it whichever way you can do, up and down or this way. I start this way, and then your first pass you'll set it to 65 foot-pounds and do 90-degree or until it clicks. Most of them you'll get a full 90-degree and it won't click, but some of them it might click before the 90-degree, so I leave it there. And you do that on all these. The third go around, I set it to 75 foot-pounds and I do another 90-degree pass, and so that's your up and down. Your final pass, the marks will be completely back up and down. As you can, these you won't do 90, you'll do about 50, 45, 50, blah blah blah, whichever, or until or if it clicks before that. And that's why some of these are, you can tell they're kind of not up and down or completely side to side, because they clicked at 75 foot-pounds and I don't want to do more than that. Did the same on this side, obviously. And then these, you just tighten them down by hand until they're touching the head, and then it's 22 foot-pounds on those only, and then that's done. But your torque sequence is first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. As you can tell, that one looks different than the other ones because this one decided to snap. Thankfully, it only snapped right here and didn't snap in the block. So I just reused one of the factory ones that came out, which you can do. That's really just very dependent on you and your comfort level. But through all the years of LS stuff, many people have reused the bolts they pull out. They're torque to yield. There's a bunch of don't do it, yes you can do it, I've done it, blah blah blah. One bolt, I don't think it's gonna hurt anything. Like I said, this is the eBay gasket set, so you know what I mean. We'll find out. It's just a Junkyard 5.3, so I mean, it's not gonna hurt nothing. But this video, the time's about to cut out on me again. Next, we'll do valve springs. So that'll probably be tomorrow for me, but a split second for you. So I'll see you then. All right, so made a little bit of room in my phone, so now hopefully I can show you doing this without having to show you after I've already done it. We are doing valve springs. I've done these 4. I'm now on to these. I'm already having an issue, of course, with tools. So I paid like $50 or something. Oh, lifetime warranty. Cool. I can let them know. Obviously, I got this from Bluegrass. This is brand new. I waited, I think, like 3 weeks to get this in the mail because I had originally bought this one off of Amazon. But the issue with this Amazon, $20 Amazon one, was it came with a bolt just like this, Allen head end, but it was a much cheaper, flimsier, skinnier bolt. and it would strip as soon as you started to get tight in these holes. And so what I did was, well, I got tired of waiting for that one. I waited about a week, and then I said, all right, I don't have time to wait anymore. I went to the parts store, took the extra one that came with the kit, which I should have known when it came with an extra one that it probably wasn't a good kit. And I took it to the auto parts store, went to the grade A bolts, put it in the hole that matched the thread, bought a grade 8 bolt, and I've been using it ever since. It works great now. I bought this one because I thought it was a better one. It was recommended to me by quite a few, but on this valve spring, it stripped the threads in the hole with the grade 8 bolt. So now this is junk. Also, I'm doing this without air in the cylinder. So typically you gotta have, or at least I just found this out because last time I did this with this tool, I did it just like this without issues, without compressed air. But a lot of YouTube videos will show you putting compressed air into the spark plug hole to keep the valves up. I've had absolutely zero issues using this valve spring compressor. I put the spark plugs in there and spin it around to try and keep some compression in there, but it really doesn't matter with this. But obviously it takes a little bit longer because you do one at a time. I also have this magnet that I'll put on the top of the valve once this is compressed, and I can pull the valve up with it. Or with the exhaust valves, you can just put your finger in there and literally push it up or down. So that's how I've been doing this. So let me show you how I do it. Also, soak this bolt really good in WD-40 or PB Blaster before you put it in these holes. And do not use an impact. Hand tools only when doing this. That was a miss. And that's it. And then just do the rest. So the valve springs are on. Already over here, I already put the rockers back on. Reusing the rockers and the push rods. I don't care where the push rods go. The lifters are brand new. I know everybody's like, oh, make sure that push rod and that lifter all go back in the same cylinder. Personally, doesn't matter, especially since the lifters are new anyways. So up to you. But I also do not torque these bolts. I have seen many of these bolts break by torquing. I do them hand tight, so I'll do hand tight first round. I'll spin the engine over, get all of them moving up and down, and then I'll go back through and tighten them again. Probably once it's running, I'll pop the cap off, or I'll pop the valve cover off, and then make sure everything's still tight, and then leave it at that. No need to make it more complicated than it actually is, but I understand the internet really makes it seem like you have to do this ASE certified way when if you go on YouTube, there's a trillion different ways people have done this and have had no issues. So that's how I do it. So that is it for the cam swap. 100% complete now. Next I'll be painting, block, cleaning up the heads a lot more, painting front cover, pulley, blah blah blah. Getting it all nice and pretty to go on the nice pretty transmission to go in the 64 C10 when it shows up. I'll show you guys the engine then when I'm putting it in. But sorry that this video is a lot longer than it probably should be doing this stuff. You could easily do this in a day, the whole cam swap, heads, blah, blah, blah. But hopefully I helped you guys out. Hopefully I gave you some tips that will help it go smoother for y'all. I will see you guys when I'm throwing it in the C10. See y'all later.